that is a learning thing, though, to be confident in your own skin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just saying certain things that could kind of make me question who I am as a person. Or am I not good enough? Or is something wrong with me?
Self-love is a big thing. You have to have self-love, especially being trans. My mother actually told me that she hoped I catch AIDS and die. I cried. I begged and pleaded. I asked myself, like, why was it me? When that situation happened for me, I was transitioning and I didn't have anybody. Like, I didn't have nobody. I didn't have no friends. I didn't have no family. I didn't have anybody. And I sat there for 9 months by myself. And honestly and truthfully, that is the advice that I would give to a parent, because honestly, it is very lonely. It's super lonely.
And sometimes our best support are the people that are not closest to us. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the sleepover where we talk all the hot topics. Got my girls, we racking up on all knowledge. Relationships, love and fitness, battle of the sexes, and so much more. The sleepover where we talk all the hot topics. Got my girls, we racking up on all knowledge. So hop on a ride, take a seat, because you're in for a big treat. Welcome to the sleepover, yeah. Welcome to the sleepover. Ooh, welcome to the sleepover. Ooh, welcome to the...
So how do you find self-love? What strategies, techniques do you use to really start working towards self-love and on this journey?
Therapy and reading. So a book I really love is called Woman Evolve by Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. And it kind of talks all about, she has this whole concept about the Eve syndrome, like how Eve is like the most, we know. So, but anyway, she talks about how taking our insecurities and taking like the things that we're so down on ourselves and building ourselves back up, like self-confidence, self-love. So I really love that book for like kind of like key pointers and to like keep me grounded. But therapy.
And so I remember we kind of fell off for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I always was thinking, like, in our self journey, sometimes is it essential for us to distance ourselves from certain people, right? Yeah. And how was that process for you? Was that
pertaining to us?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't easy. Like, I feel like you were like my best friend, and then we weren't.
Yeah.
And it sucked, but I was hurting in a situation, and I feel like how you just said, that distance.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of like self-love at the time, I didn't know it was self-love. Like, I was like 17, 18, around 19.
We were about 19 and she ghosted me.
She ghosted
I ghosted my best friend because of actions that I felt like I was being hurt by my best friend. So I feel like at the end, I didn't at the time know that was like my level of self-love, but that distance was necessary because I felt like I was not being heard and I felt like I was not important to you. So to me, and you even like when we talked about, I rode for you in high school, nobody could do anything and I was not right there. So to feel unimportant by your best, I don't feel important to you. I don't. And I guess at the time I didn't feel valued. So for me, and I just felt hurt. Like, more than anything, I was just sad and I was hurt. So to me, like, that was the best method. Like, if you don't feel wanted in a friendship, a sisterhood, I had to, because it was hurting me. So even though the distance hurt me, it was like, choose your hurt. You're going to be hurt by your sister because you don't feel valued, or you feel like you're not important to this person, or you're going to be hurt because you let it go. And the way my thinking is, if something is meant to be in your life, it'll come back. So here we are. But it was never like I just ghosted her and that was that. I mean, obviously, like, my mom would ask. Our moms are still friends on Facebook. Like, you know what I mean? It was like a check-in, but it just had to be some distance.
I showed up to this girl house with a poster board. Like a science board.
She did.
Science board size card.
There's so many details. But like I said, like, I felt so alienated because she has another group of friends, and those group of friends weren't very nice to me. And I felt like, all right, but I'm your best friend. And even though, like, that's your group, like, I'm supposed to be your sister.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like you were sticking up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already sensitive. And I feel like unknown to you, because like we said, those parallel journeys in high school, I was bullied every day.
Yeah.
I talk about that shit in therapy. Yeah. I am 28 years old talking about bullying. Like, do you know how crazy that is? And low-key embarrassing. Like, my therapist is like, don't be embarrassed. No, but I'm just saying. So for you to be my sister and for me to feel like you I mean, obviously you can be friends with whoever you want to, but like these people are hurting me and you're cool with them.
Yeah.
But if like all the people that hurt you, I don't talk to them.
Yeah.
And I literally rode for you. Yeah. And that's how it felt. Like in the moment, like now I can see the bigger picture, but I'm just saying, like, talking to my 19-year-old self. Hurt. Only child. Mm-hmm. Sisterhood. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was her first sleepover.
And that was your truth.
Yeah.
You have to do it for you.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's what's so interesting. It's like, hurt people, right? Yeah. And so, no, was I ever meaning to hurt my best friend? Absolutely not. You know, that's just not in my character. And I probably, back then, I was just trying to fit in myself, you know, I think. And I didn't know what bullying was, right? I think I've talked to you guys some about this, like, what the hell? I was like, I don't know if I was bullied in high school. I don't know. I didn't know you were bullied, right? But it was like this understanding of like, well, if you already feel low, when negative stuff happens to you, it's just kind of like,
did y'all talk about it?
Okay. Yeah,
like, how did y'all get through that? How did you respond to her feeling?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know until this moment.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it
like
was
right now.
Like, yeah, like
right
this
now.
was never. It was never a conversation. I feel like we kind of danced around it. Like, I feel like it was never like a, hey, I feel like these people are really mean to me and they've said really demeaning, nasty things to me, and I feel like you're still friends with them. This bothers me.
That never kind of conversation never happened.
Yeah, like where did the come to Jesus moment come and happen?
Yeah, well, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What type of bullying did you have experience?
I feel like for high school, a lot of it stemmed from the boyfriend. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of the girls were really obsessed with my boyfriend and they did not like me because of it. But when I tell you about bullying, I'm just saying like some of the things that were said. Of course, we know cattiness in high school, but when you tell a high schooler like, oh, you should go kill yourself, that's over the line. And that's what I'm saying, like comments like that were being said. And like, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's a lot. The incident that happened at in Emeryville, the public market, when it was the three of them and me and him were there with his mom and they followed me and were yelling things at me, my boyfriend, and his mother.
Yeah. That's horrible.
The girls in the group.
That's a little.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's
as a child too.
That's bullying.
And that's not your typical like, oh girl, your outfit is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And when we talk about it as adults, I wish my child would tell me some 15 or 16-year-olds are in a pack and you're with a parent and your boyfriend and they're following you in a parking lot, yelling things to you in front of, you see what I'm saying? Like it was always something. Yeah.
That's a real I'm gonna snatch you up.
Yeah, no, for real, honestly.
But again, like with me being sensitive, and I've never been the best at confrontation. And again, like I still loved her. I love you like a sister. I don't want to hurt your feelings. So I'm just not going to say anything and I'm just going to remove myself.
Mm-hmm. Did you tell her what happened?
I vaguely remember
some stuff, but
I really don't remember.
I just feel like some stuff like...
But that was honestly the best way for you to handle it. You know what I mean? For you. You know, some people might be like, you know, I'm going to speak.
Yeah, me and my best friend can't do that.
You know what I mean?
Me and my best friend, we get into it. We literally had a situation where we were about to fight in the car. And my best friend is a boy. And we the whole walking away thing is not an option for us. Mm-hmm. It's giving like, we stick here, even if we have to sit in this room, lock ourselves in here, we're going to figure it out. Yes. But we do have that moment where maybe like we take a day or two away from each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's never giving like I walk out of this friendship for a little while. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, this gave it 10 years.
But then also...
And I think part of it, but from my perspective, right, it's like, I didn't know what was happening. And at the same time, it was like, okay, I know I'm not my best self. One. Mm-hmm. Right? I was quite aware. I really actually thought it was completely something else, to be honest with you. I thought it was just like too dramatic or something, you know, and needy. That's what I thought. But long story. But anyways, like, first thing, like, I didn't know what was going on at all. So it was like, okay. And me and my mother talked, and she was like, give her space. Right? Like, give her space. She might need to separate herself to be the person she wants to be. And she doesn't want what she thinks you expect her to be to influence that growth. So a lot of it was like, okay. You know, so part of, like, my self-love journey, too, was learning how to manage relationships and when they're difficult. Mm-hmm. Because before I'd be like, no, this is how the relationship should be. If you don't act this way, you don't love me. And it was just tearing me up. Like, tearing me up all the time. I was quite miserable for a long time until I realized, like, I have to let go and trust that I'm enough. Trust that people love me, and I don't have to hold on to people like this for them to love me. And I think that's, like, something I just recently figured out how to do.
And then giving grace, though, too. Because you're talking about, like, 19 years old. That's a baby.
Yeah.
Like, at 19, I'm not finna, like, I wasn't about to lock myself in a room and say, like, all or nothing, like, I'm not walking with, like, I don't know. Like, even, like, with what you just said, like, 19, that's a lot to take on. Mm-hmm. So I feel like giving that grace in your self-love journey and, like, just knowing it's going to go through your levels.
Yeah, and I think that, like, with relationships, you establish what works for you. Mm-hmm. I know that for me, because my best friend is 20. So that's what works for us. Mm-hmm. We are going to stick through this until the wheels fall off. Yeah. Like, we're not, it's no option of, and then another thing too, like, we communicate very well. That's one thing I love about our friendship. We communicate very well, even if it's so blunt that it offends or upset the other person. But that's it's never a moment that I never know how he feels. Mm-hmm. But I think that the most important thing is how you work through issues. Because that was something that we recently had to figure out, because I'm not going to lie to you, not until 4 days ago, I really thought that our friendship was going to be over. Mm. I really did. But we came to a come to Jesus moment. We stopped talking for like a day and a half. And that's a long time for us, because we talk to each other every day. Is
that who you was talking to every time you gonna break?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, we are talking to each other every day, all day. We're our support system.
Right.
And he's the only child as well. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until like 4 days ago where we had to come together and figure out how we're going to work through this, because also we never been through something that extensive. Mm. Like, it was very, very intense, to the point where we were about to put our hands on each other. Mm-hmm. And we do have this thing where, like, we made a promise to each other that if you love somebody, you never put your hands on them.
Mm-hmm. So your best friend is kind of like your first, like, relationship.
It is.
And y'all was just trying to kind of figure, and you and your best friend trying to figure out, how do we get from here to back to here? Mm-hmm. So, and you were young, so.
And that's what I mean, like.
But it's nice to know. It's nice to know that you knew that for you, it meant that you should step back.
And it still sucked. Like, it wasn't, and that's like what I want to convey. Like, it wasn't like I was just like, yup.
But you know what? For you to have walked away, it's also, for that person to still care about you, they have to understand that you need that, right? Mm-hmm. You can't, like she said, you can't keep pushing that on them, right? Because it's only going to want to pull that person further away. Like, look, I said I need my space, and just give me that, right? Mm-hmm. And when I come back is when I come back. Or if we start easing back into things, then we start easing back into things. Like, even for me, I had to do that in a relationship with my friend before, you know what I mean? Like, it got so crazy at one point, I'm like, yo, I can't do this no more, you know what I mean? I moved away, everything. We used to be roommates type, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so, me going away gave me a good amount of space to just kind of, like, get my head clear, figure out how I wanted to be treated, the things that I wanted out of that friendship, if I decided to go back to that friendship, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, she was still kind of reaching out to me here and there, but it was slow, you know what I mean? It would be like, I'm just checking in on you, you know what I mean? And I cracked it open, and I allowed it to kind of like, okay, let's just see where this is. But she always tells me that she realized when I changed our friendship, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it was something that she learned, and the negativity that we had is no longer there. You know what I mean? Because she finally kind of understood, like, okay, she was really willing to walk away from me, and I almost lost one of my good friends, you know? And so now it's like, for me to respect you, I need to take what you're saying and internalize that.
But sometimes it takes that. Like, when I say this, I don't mean like literal, but it takes a near-death experience, whether like the death of your friendship. Like, sometimes it takes that for a person to realize what they have. Because a lot of times, a lot of people don't realize what they have until it's gone.
That's even in relationships.
Yeah, like relationships, friendships. Sometimes you have to just like really like do that just to see their response.
And how important is self-love in relationships then?
In relationships? Huge. It's like the first thing.
Yes, you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. You have to love yourself.
Yeah. And if you don't, it shows.
Yeah. And they'll see it, they'll feel it. It's awesome.
But then also, they're not going to know how to treat you. You're not going to, you know, that person has to learn you. And if you allow negative things to happen to you in your relationship or whatever the case is, you know, and you feel like, oh, he's doing this to me or he doesn't care about this or blah, 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 whatever the case is, right? But that's because you allowed it, right? You have,
I think that part was stepping back, you know, to, you know, leave the situation. You have to, like, understand yourself, too. I think that's a part of, like, the journey of, like, understanding. Like how you say you left and then you had to figure things out. Like that's the part of like understanding myself so I can know like how I want to move forward. That's important.
So Lola, was there ever a relationship that you can think of in which you had to take this step?
No and yes. So recently, I don't even know I want to talk about this because I kind of going through it kind of sort of now. So yes and no. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh, come on, let us in.
To be continued.
Okay.
But honestly and truthfully, we have to also think about like if you don't have self-love when you're in a relationship with someone, then you'll start to think that certain things are acceptable or certain things are okay because you feel like that they love you. Like some people feel like that, you know, like that's how abusive relationships start.
Absolutely.
Like verbal or physical abuse, somebody in their head could think like, oh, he's just angry, but I know he still loves me. But you have to have that self-love to know that this is not love. And then on top of that too, let's just isolate the part of self-love. Let's just take out love and just think about the word self. Sometimes you really have to be selfish. You have to think about you first. You have to put yourself first, and you have to not think about anyone else.
Who's else gonna be for yourself?
I really like related to when you were like, when I was in a negative space, like anything someone said to me could make me really mad. Like, and I was like, oof, I've been through that. What? Every other year for the last 10 years. No, I'm kidding. But it's so true, right? It's like when negative thoughts are happening, they don't just impact you when you're looking in the mirror.
Right.
Like they impact you when you're at work. They impact you in your relationships. They impact you when you drive and walking down the street. It's like the mindset of like, everyone's out to get me a little bit, or I have to defend myself, because I know I'm not going to be sit up and defending my thoughts against myself all day, and then you going to come up here and try to disturb my peace. Absolutely not. Like, there's no tolerance. But I find the more I combat, like, my own negative thoughts about myself, the less I really give a fuck what anybody else has to say or do, you know? And I'm able to see people way more positively than I was able to previously. I hope you did all that.
I literally went through that same thing of feeling like someone always was out to get me.
Yeah.
But it was only because I didn't have self-love, because I didn't address past issues.
Yeah.
I didn't address past issues. So, for example, when I was in high school, I used to fight a lot. I used to fight. I even to this day, I kind of struggle with it because I always feel like putting your hands on someone is the answer when it's not.
At all.
And even like sometimes when my best friend says things to me and I feel like he's out to get me or he's coming for me or like, but I have to understand like it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's not like that, and I have to love myself to know that. It's just like, why am I so mad? But I have to find a way to love myself so I don't be so angry. Because when you don't have self-love, you tend to be very angry. Yeah. And you tend to be very defensive. You tend to not be receptive of a lot of things.
And that's why it's good to have an outlet. You know what I mean? When you're upset like that, like some people go to therapy, some people go to dance, you know, anything. Just you need to have that outlet for yourself. And to me, like for me, to get in a good mental space, I need to have time by myself. Like I'm kind of a loner. Okay,
I like that
look, I like kicking it with the girls and my man and all that other stuff. But for me to really feel good about myself and all that, I need time to just for me. Regardless if I just want to go out for a walk, I want to go shopping, I want to get my toes done, I want to go to a dance class, whatever the case is. Even if maybe it's even hanging out with my girlfriends, but it's time for you, right? You did it for you, and that's. I feel like, again, you need to find that outlet, whatever it is, because sometimes you just need it, you know?
Yeah, because my outlet is sleeping.
And otherwise, it's gonna build up. It's going to build up.
I really feel like that. Like,
have you seen the Nap Ministry?
No.
Is that what it's called? I think it's on Instagram.
I literally have, when I get so angry and I get so frustrated and I just don't know what to do, if I want to, I have to go to sleep. I just have to go to sleep because even if I go to sleep and wake up in the same day, I feel like it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
I feel like when you close your eyes and you wake up again, it is literally a do-over.
A reset.
It's a reset. It's a do-over. So a lot of times when I get angry or I'm upset with someone or even I may not know what's upsetting me that day and everything is just frustrating.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to go to sleep and try again.
Yeah. I would say the biggest impact in my life was therapy. Like, I cannot express the growth that happened in 1 year of therapy versus all the years I was trying to do it alone, right? And I think for some people, I think it's like, when do I start? How do I do it? Where do I go? And I was lucky to have like my village behind me, like kind of like, so Charlotte, we love you, Charlotte Marie, but you got some things to work on, right? And it's this thing like I valued. For me, I didn't just start for me. It was like I valued my relationship so much. I was like, I'm understanding I'm hurting the people I love. Yeah. So I need to heal up. And that was the best decision I ever could have made.
I asked Cimone earlier where, we was talking about therapy, and I asked you where did you find your therapist, and you told me
blackgirlsneedtherapy.com, and it's literally an archive. It's literally an archive, and you just type in your zip code, and it just pulls up thousands of therapists and their bios and their rates, what insurance they take. I mean, they do it for you, and you just kind of
Black therapist.
Yes, blackgirlsneedtherapy.com. I'm pretty sure.
I've actually never seen a therapist.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Would you consider it? I believe it. I think it's good for everybody, but I've never personally seen it.
Me either, and I want to, I want to look into.
I think it's
I've never seen a therapist.
It's like this opportunity, to dig in deep and like be put in a space where it's only you and this one person, and all they gonna ask you is about you. So eventually you're gonna start talking about stuff, and the more you talk, you uncover it. But are you guys resistant to therapy? Is it that like I don't know where to find one? Is it nervousness?
I think for me the only reason why I didn't see a therapist is because I struggle with trying to explain something to someone that actually hasn't lived through it. It's just like, because I have this idea in my head that like you can't really understand what I'm going through unless you went through it.
That could.
Surprise.
Yeah.
And that's
because I honestly kind of had the same perspective a little bit, and with my therapist, obviously she's older than I am, and I'm talking, and she's just like, and she's a little unconventional, so she sometimes gives me what I need. She doesn't just shake her head and take notes. She'll give me examples, and I'm like, oh really? And she's like, yeah, because this happened to me, and I'm like, wow, like, so you'd be surprised what people can really empathize and sympathize with, especially if they're just starting on a playing field of open, honest communication and understanding, and I feel like that is the point of a therapist's job.
Yeah, and then I think another reason why I haven't seen a therapist is because I'm so like close guarded. I'm so close guarded, and I'm not easily receptive to allowing someone else into my space.
But you're on YouTube, and you got friends you made that you don't know.
Right.
So that should be.
But that's so far. That honestly, to me, I haven't seen a like professional. Yeah. But that was very therapeutic to me.
Yeah. So how do you know, like, maybe if you found someone who is a transgender and is a therapist,
I know
it might take you to the next level.
I could recommend you if you wanted to get that outlet.
Definitely.
And then also keep in mind, because another stigma for me with therapy was kind of like, okay, like I'm gonna pour out my guts and it's just gonna be kind of like they're just staring at me. But really, like my therapy sessions, it's me versus me. Mm-hmm. Like she's there as almost like a guide to let me dig in deeper to me and to figure it out. Like she's there to help, but it's all about me.
Like how you said, I don't know why I'm angry. Well, we were talking about that earlier. Mm-hmm. The therapist might help you find out where the anger is coming from. You know,
peeling back.
And I think in therapy, I was so surprised to see how behaviors, like even negative self-talk and stuff like that, were linked to like childhood and like not understanding like, okay, so I do this because I saw this a lot, right? Mm-hmm. I'm this way because I did not get this, and this is the way I needed to feel loved, right? Like parents can do what they can do,
right? The best way they know.
The best way they know how, and not every parent is all healed up. Mm-hmm. Not every parent has never experienced trauma, right? You know. So it was like me going to like hug my younger Charlotte, like hug my younger Charlotte Marie, so I could be like, you're okay, and you got it. And the more I kept doing that, I just discovered like
the new me.
It was like something that had just been clouded on so much you couldn't shine. Mm-hmm. But the therapy helped those clouds to start go away, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so I want to ask all of you guys a question. What is one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self? And name what age that you would be giving this advice to.
That's so hard. I
would tell myself that it's going to be okay. Because, like, I go through the emotions of, like, back and forth for some stuff that I've dealt with when I was younger. It comes back. Well, I have gone through the emotions of feeling one way, overcoming it, and then experiencing that feeling one way again. So, it's going to be okay. I've gotten through it before, and I can get through it again. So that's what I would tell my younger self. I don't have an age.
What was that emotional stuff you were going through? Was it like depression? Was it
I
anger?
think it was more so. Anger was a part of it, but I didn't know it was anger. But that came with me trying to understand myself. But another thing that came with it was insecurities. Yeah. So like going through like trying to understand where the insecurities are coming from, and then how to heal from those insecurities. And then once I got past it, how to keep moving forward without revisiting it. And if I did revisit it, how do I make sure it's actually cured? Like I don't have to experience it again. Like it's out of me. I'm done. I've outgrown it. So that's why I say it's going to be okay, because if I ever see myself revisiting something that I feel like I've overcame, then I've done it before I could do it again.
Yeah.
So.
I think I would give my 17-year-old between the ages of 17 and 20.
Okay.
I would give my younger self, I would just say, it's going to be okay. You're beautiful regardless of what anyone else thinks. Learn to forgive. Have patience. And I would just...
That's like 5 things. I just want you to...
Oh, I'm sorry. It's like... Well, I would honestly... Okay, so cool. I would just say...
You're like, it's one long sentence, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just one long sentence. I would just say, honestly, just have patience and literally just learn to forgive and just be who you are unapologetically.
Yeah.
I'm going with 15. Yeah. My 15-year-old self. Because that's, I would just say you are valid. And you are not alone.
Yeah. Nice. Sheesh. Honestly, that was a really hard question for me.
It's just going deep, y'all.
It's just, honestly, I think it would be to tell myself to not be so hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like growing up, I was kind of always hard on myself, but I think at one point, I was really hard on myself, probably between like 20 and 25, because you're in between that, like, okay, I'm getting ready to graduate college, maybe, or, I might start a new job, maybe, or maybe I'm going to get married, maybe. It was so many things happening in that period of my life, where I just felt like, if something wasn't going to plan like I had thought, I was feeling behind, like, oh my gosh, it's still didn't get this done. You know, I'm feeling unsuccessful at this. You know, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And we just have to live in the moment and just know, like, it's going to happen. You know, things will happen. And just don't put a timestamp. Don't be so hard on yourself just because you didn't get it done right now. So, yeah, I would definitely say 20 to 25.
So I'm thinking mine would be my 7-year-old self. 7.
Okay.
And I would tell myself that I was beautiful and smart and worthy of living a life. Would probably be what I would tell myself then.
Why worthy of living life?
So I have dealt with emotional, like, most people wouldn't know unless I was like really talking to you, like, hey, you know, I went through this, you'd be like, huh? You know, but when I looked in the mirror, I did not see the person looking back at me. Like, when I looked in the mirror, literally I saw an ashy little black girl who was stupid. That's what I saw for pretty much. I remember when I was 20, I was talking to a friend, like, I don't see a future for myself at all.
At 20?
At 20. I was talking to my friend, and I was like, when I look at my future, I see nothing. Like, I don't even know if I'll be here. That's how I felt for the largest portion of my life. And so that's what I would say, right? It's just like, you're worth living a life, you know?
Yeah.
So that was...
Is it too deep to ask you at 7? Why 7?
It started really young for me, right? So I lived in some chaos, maybe is how you would describe it for me.
Okay.
And I went to a school where no one looked like me, and I'm dyslexic. So I think all of those things put together, it was like, well, I can't do nothing anyway. And it ain't like my looks gonna get me anywhere. You know, I can't read. No one wants to be my friend, and I feel invisible. You know? And that narrative of myself carried up until 2-3 years ago. You know?
Okay.
So that's why I really wanted to bring women of color together, right? Because our voices are not monolithic, meaning there's just so few voices out there that represent such a large group of people. And for me, I would look up there and I'd be like, well, no one looks like me. Well, okay, I don't have a big ass, you know? And I'm not the straight A student. Like, I just could never find somewhere I felt, which made me feel even more invisible, right? And not seeing narratives that uplifted me or empowered me because they were so different than who I felt I was. So I'm hoping that this opportunity and hearing stories of Black women can help younger 7-year-olds, 15-year-olds, right? 19-year-olds know, like, I'm not alone and I can make it through the hardest time. So thank you all for participating in our episode today. Remember, you are worth always having internal sunshine, right? Thank you.
Yes.
And this is The Sleepover.
Ooh, welcome to The Sleepover. Ooh, welcome to The Sleepover. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to The Sleepover. Ooh, welcome to The